Welcome to the JBJ Management Podcast. I'm Willis Johnson, and today I have a big question too. Our guest is Ira Molayo, but it was Ira McGraw.
It was.
Tell me, how's that? First of all, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about that.
So the new name is Molayo, and it's the new old name because I've had it for about 7.5 years.
Yeah, but I remember the original name.
Yeah, so my given name, my surname, when I was before I changed it, was McGraw, and changed that a few years back.
See, I pay attention.
Oh, yeah. You and a few other people. People still get confused. People still wonder if I'm in the golf business occasionally, because everybody, for the first part of my career, knew me as Ira McGraw, but did change that in 2017.
That is a religious...
Not a religious name. So I'll try to give you the short version of the
because I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
So I was getting ready to have my first son, and you're thinking about all the things you want to give your son and things that you want to teach him and all that kind of stuff. And we had a family event, and my task for the event was to put together a family tree. And so when I was putting together the family tree, talk amongst family, and I was just like, man, I can't find anything before like 1890. I just had gotten to like a wall, and somebody said, hey, why don't you just research the name McGraw? And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about it like that. So I started researching the name McGraw, and found the name McGraw back to the 1600s. When McGraw first came into the country through the ports of Virginia. It was actually McGrawth with a RTH on the end. And then there's all types of different variations of the name.
Sure.
McCaw. They came from that. But you can follow the name as it came in from the ports of Virginia, as it moved west across the country all the way to East Texas. And in those days, people probably don't know this, but when everyone was looking to migrate the west, the way you migrated the west, well, first of all, if you were European and coming to this country, you got land for free. And you got more land with more slaves you owned. And so when you wanted to migrate west, if you wanted to keep going further west, you buy more slaves, and that would get you more land. So instead of getting 40 acres of land, you get 60 or you get 100. It just depends on how many enslaved people you owned. And so I followed the migration of the name, or different variations of it, all the way through the East Coast, down through the South, into East Texas. And I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version of this. But I followed it to E.W. McGraw, who in 1862 was still buying mulatto slaves in East Texas in Upshur County. Upshur County sits where Mount Pleasant sits and where Longview sits. My dad's family is from Mount Pleasant. My mom's family is from Longview. And from everything that I found out through that process, the only reason that my family has the name McGraw is because it was given to us by a slave owner. And so when I was thinking about all the things to give to my son and things that I wanted to hand down, I just felt compelled to address that. And so that led me to just doing research on myself, and I did DNA tests with all the major DNA companies. I did all of them because I wanted to be sure about the information, and I started researching the findings of my DNA feedback. And basically, my DNA comes from the west coast of Africa. They gave me multiple different regions of West Africa that it could be from, based on the timing of E.W. McGraw buying slaves and the first McGrawths coming into the country in the 16th century. It was most likely from Benin, Togo, because that was the active and live slave port at that time, and the coast of the Ivory Coast, more than likely from either of those. So I started researching culture, music, food, just everything. I was just like enthralled with it. By this time, I'm on like a year and a half, like study, like getting home at night. You get on the internet at night, and I'm just kind of in the internet for 2 or 3 hours every night, and just felt compelled to just keep going. And so started talking about it with my wife at the time. That hey, I think I'm interested in changing my name. I don't want to have my slave name anymore. And so we started experimenting with names, and so we had only 3 prerequisites. So the name had to start with an M because I would still have the same initials. It couldn't be too difficult to say. So it couldn't have like 21 consonants, and it had to be a West African heritage. And so picked out these 12 names. I kind of settled on 12, and I just had this experiment where we would just kind of go through the house, and I would tell my wife, like, today we'd be the Maduabuchis. And I'd say, good morning, Mrs. Maduabuchi, and she'd be like, no, shit ain't gonna work. And then Molayo is one of them. Molayo is Nigerian. It's from the Igbo tribe, and it means I have joy. And is actually Molayo is actually Malaya in Nigerian culture. It's a girl's first name. The masculine version of it is Molayo, and since I was taking it as a last name, I took Molayo. And my son was actually the first Molayo, because I didn't get my name changed by the time he was born. So he's the first Molayo on the planet.
Did you research Cedar Crest?
Yeah, I found out some interesting things about Cedar Crest. Yeah, yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of beneficial information.
And you're still finding out things about Cedar Crest.
Oh man, I learn something new about Cedar Crest every day, in more ways than I like.
I think that's interesting that you did that kind of research and that it moved you enough to change your name. I think it also points to the commitment that you have. Once you say, that's the direction we're going, that's what I'm going to do. The direction you're taking Cedar Crest is where?
Man, Cedar Crest is really a special place to me because I grew up playing there, as you know. Spent a lot of time there with my mother when she was living, and I just have a special tie there. It's really close to me. My vision of Cedar Crest is to make Cedar Crest a great public golf course that Dallas doesn't have. Every great city has a great public space for golf, and Dallas doesn't have a great public golf course. They have a lot of good private clubs, but when you go to New York, everybody knows about Bethpage Black. When you go to San Diego, everybody knows about Torrey Pines.
Right.
San Francisco's Hardin Park. And you come to Dallas, what is it? You gonna go to Cowboys? You gonna get you a sausage on the 5th hole? Like it has nothing to do with anything that's really true to Dallas, and definitely not anything that's true to Southern Dallas, Oak Cliff. And Cedar Crest has a unique opportunity with this location. Historically, Cedar Crest has been thought of as like in South Dallas or the golf course in the hood. But actually, North Texas has grown so much, Cedar Crest is pretty centrally located.
Yeah, things have changed.
And we got people coming up from Waxahachie, got people coming down from Anna and Oklahoma and to come play Cedar Crest. And so we have a unique opportunity, I think, to fix our place in the market. Add to that the rich history of Cedar Crest, having the first Dallas Open, having the first PGA championship, first major championship in the Southwest. Walter Hagen winning the championship there. Charles Sifford winning the National Negro Open there in 1954. Just so many elements of rich history at Cedar Crest, and it's a public space. We have an opportunity to leverage that into something really special.
Well, I can just tell you from a personal standpoint, I played Cedar Crest 30 years. I have a different perspective about Cedar Crest today than I did in year 3 or 4. Being on the radio, one of the reasons I didn't want to play Cedar Crest was 2 reasons I didn't want to play Cedar Crest. One, you didn't have that fence. What is that? What's that street there on hole number 7?
Yeah, that's Sutherland.
Yeah. You needed that fence there 25 years ago. I'm just going to tell you now. And then, but being on the radio, everybody wanted to bet me. I just wanted to play.
Oh, yeah.
I did not.
They wanted bragging rights.
I did right. I wasn't there to gamble. I just wanted to play. So I stopped playing Cedar Crest for that reason. I probably have been to Cedar Crest now more in the last 10 years than I was the first 20 years. I think it speaks volumes about the changes that you personally have made.
I think it speaks to how good your golf game has gotten. Ain't nobody trying to bet you anymore.
No, my game is gone. My game is gone. I'm working on it though. I'm trying to get it back. I'm trying to get it back. And now, speaking of that, I've shared this with some people. Cedar Crest is a difficult course.
Yeah, it can be.
For those who, and it starts with hole number one. There's only one person that I've seen, Ira. His name is Ron Bird.
Yeah.
So you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Coca-Cola Bird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only guy, and there's one other guy that I saw that could actually turn the corner.
Yeah.
From the back.
Yeah.
On hole number one.
Yeah.
That is.
It's a handful of guys, but yeah.
Right, a handful on one hand. They just don't exist.
A small hand.
And then Big Bertha is not quite the same big, because you can hit it out of there now. Years ago, once you went in Big Bertha, you were done. Why'd you change it?
I don't know if I changed Bertha, so those trees are just a lot taller than what they used to be. So I can't exactly take credit for that. But if you're talking about like the culture,
yep,
at Cedar Crest, the atmosphere, yeah. I always felt like
no dominoes.
Yeah, no dominoes, anything like that. And nothing against dominoes. I love dominoes, but just they don't belong at the golf course. But growing up at Cedar Crest and seeing all the elements of it going away, being at other golf facilities, becoming a PGA member, playing in tournaments and events, being competitive, I just have more of a well-rounded view when I had the opportunity to come back. And when I got back to Cedar Crest, my first 2 years was all about that. Former park director Paul Dyer essentially just told me, he's like, it needs some help, and it's going to be tough, but this is what needs to happen. And so knowing that I had that kind of support at the time made me headstrong into creating what I thought Cedar Crest could be.
What did it feel like to see Cedar Crest on national television last year? The Southwest Airlines.
I can't use English words to describe it, but man, it was wonderful. Walking around and talking to people. We had about 350 people a day.
Mm-hmm.
And these are like, nobody knew what to expect with Southwest from a community standpoint.
Sure.
They knew it was an event. They knew it was, going to be on national TV and all that. But you could feel the community pride oozing off of people. They were seeing these chocolate babies from all these universities all over the country coming, and they would come to play a golf tournament, but like anybody that didn't see it, you were in for a treat. These were fantastic people, fantastic players, outstanding golfers, dynamic golfers. And so to see that talent in person, but to see it on the screen, to talk to them,
yeah,
and to hear how they come across and how they communicate, man, I can't express the pride that I feel. Even when I still watch a clip of the showcase right now, like it still gives me the same feeling in my stomach. It still gives me goosebumps a little bit. I can't wait to do it again. It's just so special to be a part of a project like that.
So when you went home that night, you said, "Whew, hell yeah, I did it."
Oh man, it's not very many times. Some people experience it more than others, where you just feel like you got to win.
Right.
And that night felt like a win. It felt like a championship win, even everybody that I dealt with in the city, and you could just see everybody like, oh, this is what you were talking about.
A lot of pride.
A lot of pride.
And you're going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, we have it on the slate again this fall. I'm super excited. The player field is going to be just as dynamic and strong as it was last year. Golf Channel's excited. Southwest Airlines excited. It'll be a bigger atmosphere. If I had to describe the feeling, that's our goal. My main objective when we were working on the showcase was I wanted it to feel like a major. I didn't want this to come in. I didn't want this to feel like another college event. These kids play college tournaments all over the country, been playing golf tournaments since they was pups. I wanted them to feel like, man, this is the best golf tournament I've ever been invited to. And that's exactly what we were able to do.
So this year is 2024, 2034. What do you see Cedar Crest doing?
I see Cedar Crest as what I described earlier, that great public golf course. People coming from all over the country to want to play it. People trying to take memorabilia home because they want people to know that they played it. Like, we're not going to be Augusta. Not trying to do that. We're not going to be East Lake in Atlanta. We're not trying to do that. But we want everybody within this city to be proud of Cedar Crest. So even if you're up in Prosper, you know, you're going to be proud to walk around with a Cedar Crest hat on, and you're going to be telling people, oh, yeah, I played there the other day. If you're coming from Waxahachie, same thing. If you're in Houston, you know, same thing. Even Houston, Willis, Houston has Memorial. They got the Houston Open.
They do.
At a public municipal
They do.
golf course. The PGA Tour comes there. Dallas is better than that. And Dallas needs a great public space, and Cedar Crest is that great public space.
Ira, thank you for taking the time. And thank you for the commitment that you've made to Dallas and to Cedar Crest. I'm thinking 2034, 2044. Y'all come by and tell me what it looks like.
Hey, ask them to come in 2027.
Oh, sooner.
2027 is important because that's the centennial year of the PGA Championship being at Cedar Crest in 1927, which was won by Walter Hagen. But here's why it's important also. The 2027 PGA is right here in North Texas at PGA Frisco. That's the centennial year again. And so the tie and storytelling from that major championship coming to Dallas again is going to be powerful. I'll happen to be the president of the Northern Texas PGA at that time.
Just happened
to be. It just worked out that way. And the synergies between what's going to be going on in golf, what we're doing at Cedar Crest, is going to provide a unique opportunity for us to make sure that Cedar Crest can get there.
Ira is the man. Cedar Crest is the place to be. Try hole number 1 and see if you can get past a bogey.